Everything leads to a yes or a no in communication. Most leaders are dreaming of employees saying yes with commitment for the right things at the right time and with the right result. And that is a dream, not reality. No one knows the end until you get there. From beginning to the end, everything is unpredictable. What you can do is your very best to plan your moves and make sure that you have a plan A, plan B, and maybe more for every crossroad you can think of. A crossroad is an incident where people are to take a decision, either a yes or a no. Should I go right or should I go left? Should I follow or not? Should I make an effort or not? Is it worth it or not? The more people involved, the more crossroads there will most probably be. The start of every communication is the why. Why should I do it? What's in it for me? Start planning your communication by looking at the corporate statement. What is the overall vision, mission, and values for the company or the organization you work for? Then take a look at the overall strategy and ask yourself, why am I here? And what is the purpose of the team I lead? That is your starting point for your storytelling. Storytelling is an art, and to excel you need to be skilled in different competences. Let's look at the skill sets for the characters you can model to be even better at storytelling. Analyst, the ability to analyze. What the company needs to focus on to be even better, what the focus areas exactly means for each person and team in the value chain, what goals are needed, what working methods are needed, what kind of skill set is needed, what are the risks and issues, who are the stakeholders. Journalist, the ability to write the story. What are the pros and what are the cons? How to represent both sides. How to make the story appealing. How to reach people with different profiles. How to know some of people's reactions to the message. How to structure the messages in writing and oral. Project manager, the ability to structure the task. When people are to meet and with which purpose and agenda. What people have to do and when. How to follow up on the business case and milestones. How to manage risk and issues. What to communicate to whom and when. What to report about progress. Actor, the ability to perform. How people can engage in the story. What is needed to perform in which stagings. What mood the stagings should be in, happy, sad, or worried. What do people respond to in the moment? How to read the audience feelings. How to communicate directly or indirectly with the audience. Coach, the ability to be present, listening, curious, and holding people accountable. Which questions are needed in the moment? What is said non-verbal and between the lines? How to be present and attentive? How to hold people accountable for their actions? How to help people with the emotions the change is causing? All of these characters cover some very important issues, which are the why. What is in it for me? Why should I do it? What? What is it exactly that I have to do? How? How am I supposed to do it, and what can I decide myself? Who? Who are doing what? When? When am I supposed to get started, and when does it end? Storytelling starts with you as a storyteller. You start a connection with the listener and the listener's perception of reality and the values that this person has. This happens the minute you start the story and get another person's attention. Once you have started to tell the story, it doesn't belong to you anymore, and you cannot control where the story is going. Your perception of reality is not everyone else's perception. The listener is listening to the story with his or her perception of reality. The inner dialogue the listener has can be, do I trust the storyteller? What is in it for me in this story? How does the story connect to my values and drivers? And how does it fit into my future dream? How does it fit into how we are usually doing things? How realistic is this? How much of the story is true and how much is a lie? Is the storyteller a role model for what he or she is telling others to do? How do I perceive the situation described? What am I willing to do? What is the storyteller willing to do? Imagine that you get a set of PowerPoint slides from your immediate manager describing a change for you and the team. Expectations are that you tell the story as it was meant to be told. Imagine now that the presentation origins from a central unit in the company. The person that wrote the story in the first place have told it to your manager, who has told it to you, and now you are going to tell it to the employees. The story has most probably changed every time. When the company's central unit is monitoring how the change is progressing, they are most probably surprised that the outcome is not as they expected it to be. The lesson is, if you want a change to be the way you thought it should be, do it yourself. Once you onboard others, you lose a part of your control of the process. This is not what you want, so let go of control and start involving people. Find out if you are ready to let others co-create the story and the outcome before you engage in a change. Increase impact by being a great storyteller. Be authentic. If you truly believe in your story, it is shown in your voice, your facial expression, and in your body language. If you can't help telling the story, you are most probably committed to it and living it, and your intensity shows. People believe more in authenticity. Show your emotions. Allow people to see what you feel. Are you happy, enthusiastic, sad, angry, or ready to fight for it? Words and PowerPoints does not change much. Emotions do. You are evaluated on your body language and your voice and what that story tells the listener. If you are an introvert person who seldom shows your emotions, do it so people can feel if you really mean it. They will take you more seriously then. Be clear about what you want from the future. Express your wishes and let those wishes include the team and how the change will help this workplace continue as an even more special place to be. State why this is important for the company and what the change will mean for the team and the individual. Create a memorable image. Tell a simple story that can be remembered and told again. Lots of words and lots of messages in a PowerPoint just blur the story. Metaphors are great to help you create a memorable image. People connect easily to a simple, compelling story. If the listener connects with own values to the story, it will remain, and the chance of that person telling the story to other people is greater. Good stories spread, as well as bad ones. Be present. Note the team's reactions. Be silent and let people think. Ask questions and co-create the story. This gives the team a good reason to want to listen. Invite people in. Embrace the team members' need to understand the story and the change in their own personal way. Acknowledge their right to ask questions like, do I want this? What's in it for me? What am I willing to do? Allow people to include their own personal experiences. Heart and mind is interacting when you are co-creating the story. The story gets better and people get even more committed. Maybe the way of handling the change will be different than you thought it would be, but it will work better when people are engaged and committed. They are more likely to do what it takes to get there. Listen. When you are telling your story, the listeners co-create their story. Ask the team to tell their version by asking questions like, what future do you see? How do you perceive this opportunity? Be realistic. Say the truth as it is. Is it a fantastic opportunity or is it a disaster? If it is a disaster, you can state it and ask a question like, now that we know that we are not in the best situation, how can we make this situation work? If you lie, people will most probably not believe you again. A hidden agenda will be discovered sooner or later. Tell what doesn't work and what can be learned from that. Bring hope instead and let that be the story you truly believe in. The story alone is not enough. Think it through before you expect the team to engage. An email with some statements and then leaving the rest up to the employees doesn't do the trick. If you truly believe in the story, you are also there to support the team to mentally engage in the story and find ways to implement the change. Your emotions are contagious. Both the team and you generate energy when storytelling, and it can be both positive and negative energy. You often mirror the person you see or the culture you are in, especially if there is trust among people. Are you talking about a burning platform or a personal dream? Does the team perceive your story as a burning platform or a great future? Being happy about a story and expressing it often makes the story spread to more people. Remember the last time you heard a good story and where you really engaged in it. Remember also how many times you told it to somebody or wanted to share the good story. The more a story is being told, the more true it gets, both the positive and the negative story. Imagine an IT system with challenges, and one person tells a bad story and ends it with, "It will never work." If you have a challenge with a system, even though it is very small, you have just got yourself a proof that this IT system will never work, and there is a reason for you to say that loud and clear so everyone knows. Even bad stories seem to bring people together. The more a person tells a bad story, the harder it will get for that person to admit that they were wrong. They will most probably continue to look for proofs that they were right. Stories are told everywhere, secret stories and well-known stories. Stories that has to do with relationships are the stories with most energy in, both the positive and negative energy. Let's say that the story is the IT system will never work. It often has an extra sentence attached to it like, why doesn't the management deal with it? When a good story is told, there's also an extra sentence attached like, this change is really what we need and I think our manager has a good point. Embedded in these two stories is me, myself, and I. Behind the story about the IT system not working can be, I can see the obvious, why can't the management? And behind the story about the needed change can be, my manager thinks like me, and we share the same values, so I have a clever manager. When changes occur, there's most often some resistance. If you are living your story, it is hard to understand why other people cannot engage in it immediately. It is easy to get irritated and start to fight the resistance by raising the voice or repeat the highlights again. Let people start to co-create the story and embrace the resistance as interest. Ask questions like, if this should ever come to work for us, how would we have to approach it? What if this change worked already? What would we have done to make it work? And start listening. Use all senses when you're listening to find what the resistance is really all about. Your silence gets the team to talk. Listen and sense the worries, the happiness, the curiosity and the expectations. Understand each team member's mindset and their intention to understand their behavior. What ifs are brilliant questions to get people to think without feeling committed. Thinking about how it could be is the same as taking a step forward. Ask the team members to tell the story they have heard. The story often changes according to what fits into the listener's reality. It is easy for the manager to want to take the lead now, and it often results in forcing people to commit to the story and change. Forcing seldom gets you anywhere. The most you can get is silence, and some managers take that as a commitment. It is more likely to be, if you force me, you can silence me, but you will not get my commitment and my creativity. Be curious when you prepare your story. What kind of mindset does each team member have? What will they engage in and how? What will they not engage in and why? If there is a person that you can use to prove the story, let that person be a part of your story, or get that person to tell their own version of how they perceive the change. If the team members trust that person, they may say, if that person can change, so can I. Expect that your team are feeling that they are busy, that changes come all the time, and they are seldom asked first. That feeling is an obstacle in itself. Keep stories alive as long as you need them, or else they are dead and forgotten. It happens to many changes. The manager believes that the story has been told, the next step is to see the implementation finalized. It often happens that expected changes never get implemented. People attend to other things or return to old ways of working. That is why the stories need to be kept alive. Tell the success stories and tell the same story over and over again with a new angle. This way people know that the change is here to stay. There are three kinds of stories. I stories, that has to do with me and how I perceive the reality. Do I want it? We stories, that has to do with common values and identity in a team. Do we want it? Future stories, that has to do with changes to reach a future dream. Where are we going? Stories told by people in an organization form the culture, the reality and the activities leading to change. Your personal expression is important. Use your body language and voice to underline what is most important. Effects like slowing down, speeding up, using gestures and changing the voice can help the story come to life. Be natural and let it feel right for you. If you are an introvert, you can show your emotions in a more quiet way. People will know anyway. However, words alone are not enough. If you are an extrovert, you can benefit from getting in touch with your real feelings about what you believe and do not believe in. Focus on personal performance is not enough to engage the team emotionally. The communication channel is important. You have different channels to choose from. For instance, written, audio, film, phone, web meeting, face-to-face. If you send out an email on a personal letter, You leave out most of your emotions. Of course, there can be emotions in words, but the team doesn't get the full experience. This also happens if you expect people to read company information on the intranet or read the essence in minutes from a meeting. People are busy, and minutes are hardly ever read by anyone. The meeting is over and not relevant anymore, besides to cover my ass or to remind you of what you have committed yourself to do. Audio recording can include the emotions that can be heard in the voice, where film can be a good substitute for a face-to-face meeting because people can follow your body language and facial expressions. You can also get the chance to edit and film it again if you are not satisfied with your own performance. Both when storytelling by written information, audio and film, you lose the chance of observing the team members' reactions. You can do that in web meetings unless you choose to show a presentation instead of letting people be seen on the screen using their web cameras. Face-to-face meetings are by far the most appropriate and effective because the team can see your emotions and you can see theirs. At the same time, you can start co-creating the story. You can of course combine the face-to-face meeting with a video recording of your storytelling. A common pitfall for an organization is to launch the storytelling and some planned activities, not knowing what the next step will be, nor when things are ending. Imagine that a central unit plans and keeps on planning in an unstructured way and landing activities in the arms of people who are unaware how many activities they are going to adjust to, engage in, and implement, or when the activities are going to end. The energy decreases little by little. The answer is to make 3-month projects. It is a well-known fact for project managers that projects lasting more than 3 months seldom succeed. Eat the elephant in smaller pieces, but let the people know that it is an elephant and reveal a concrete plan for how the elephant can be eaten. This way everyone knows what starts and what ends and when. At the same time, it is easier for people to say yes or no to being a part of the process.